Welcome to Vectors and Dot Product Properties, Part 2. I want to discuss the how to determine what the angle between a couple of vectors is. In the diagram listed there, I've got vectors u and vector v separated by an angle theta. And we can find what theta is equal to if we take the inverse cosine. Now pay attention, this is where it gets a little funky. Inverse cosine of the dot product of the vectors divided by the product of the magnitude of those vectors. So once again, the angle between the two vectors can be found by taking the inverse cosine of the dot product of the vectors divided by the product of the magnitude of the vectors. The second property I want to talk about is the definition of orthogonal vectors. Orthogonal and perpendicular mean essentially the same thing, meeting at right angles. So if I have two vectors, we'll call them u and v. If I have u dot v, so I'm taking the dot product here, that dot product is going to be equal to 0 if and only if the vectors are perpendicular to each other. Of course, you remember that if we have the 0 vector, if I have got the 0 vector and I take the dot product of any vector u, that is defined as being equal to 0 as well. So while the 0 vector, doesn't actually have any true direction or magnitude, it is by default going to be considered perpendicular to any given vector. Well, there you have it. You've got a couple of additional properties of vectors and dot products. Please tune in again for some vector example problems, and you have yourself a nice day.